Dinosaurs have feathers. Checkmate, creationists.
What do YouTube and the Los Angeles Zoo have in common? Apparently, they both want your kids to be more gay.
Finland is sending their best female figure skaters, top men.
It's a Super Mario Kart, but not for fat people. Woohoo!
All this and more on
The Babylon Bee Podcast.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Babylon Bee Podcast. Hanging out, Kyle Mann here, Adam Yenser, and Aldo Buttazzoni.
Yes, and you got to say it with the wrist too, or else it's... There we go.
Super Mario Kart.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You should have said the Super Mario Kart.
I like how
one.
you
know
spend
how
all
to
the
pronounce
time before the podcast learning his first name,
Yeah.
and then the last name caught you completely off guard. That was what you
I didn't know if it was a joke or what, but no, there it is. So Aldo, yeah, man, how you doing? Thanks for coming out.
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. I have to ask before we get started, this is my first time here in the office. I'd be really disappointed if you guys didn't call this place the Hive. Is that what you call it? I would hope.
I don't think officially.
We haven't officially called it that. It's been referenced.
Yeah, we've had people reference and hanging out.
I wanted to have one when we moved to this office. I wanted to have a closet where we just keep live bees.
I like that.
And anytime someone comes in, we go, no, don't go in there. That's where the live bees are.
Mostly we just call it.
Exactly. Yes.
I'm trying to ease you back into the podcast because you were gone last week. You know?
Exactly. And
So
I
I'm trying to
miss
break the ice
trying to
here.
say the address on the air. They don't like to reveal where it is.
How was Hawaii?
Oh, Hawaii was awesome. I went for my 40th birthday with a few other friends that were having their birthday that week also. Did some stand-up shows while I was there. There were some bee fans that came out to the one stand-up show. We got to swim in a waterfall and see whales and sea turtles and eat sushi. It was awesome.
Oh, that's so great.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. Comedy shows, meeting all the bee fans out there.
Yeah.
And,
Did some hiking. Yeah, it was great.
oh, that's awesome. So cool. I got to get back out to. My wife keeps talking about wanting to go to Hawaii, and I went like growing up, and I haven't taken her yet. So
How does it feel to be 40?
It feels fine. It doesn't feel like a big difference. I always feel like when you're at the end of a decade, 29 or 39, that's scarier than when you actually make the change because now I'm the youngest in my decade again.
Right.
So now I'm at the youngest end
You're
of the
not late
40s
30s.
rather than the exactly. I'm in my early 40s. I'm no longer in my late 30s.
It's nice. I like it.
Yeah.
that's good. I think with men we have it a little easier. Like I think in 40s,
Oh, we just
50s,
get better and better
Yeah, that's true.
until around 70.
And then
Whereas
it's just
girls
a
top
disaster.
out at what, like 22?
We're still aging like fine wine, I think, right? We still got our best days ahead of us.
That's true.
Yeah. I just turned 23 like a month ago.
So you're still in early 20s.
Early 20s.
Yeah, exactly. So
Nice.
feels good.
Awesome, man. That's great. Well, you want to tell us a little bit about what you're doing over at PragerU?
Yeah, so I just started around 4 months ago. I was living in Texas the last 2 years. PragerU shipped me out about 4 months ago to take over.
Did what to you 4 months ago?
They shipped me out.
That's not what
Yeah,
I
they
do.
put me in a crate. What do you think I said? All right, I'll leave that. But yeah, I took over Will Witt's Man on the Street series. So that's been a lot of fun. I was doing independent journalism and reporting in Texas. So it felt like a really natural progression to do Man on the Street, interviewing people and just going out there and asking questions. It's what I love to do. So it's been really fun. There's been a lot of cool, exciting videos that we've been doing, and we'll get to one of those in a little bit. But yeah, it's been great working on a lot of other cool projects. I'm working on a mini documentary right now about masculinity in America and about the plight of young men. Working on an entrepreneur show where I'll be going around the country interviewing young business owners about how they are surviving in the age of woke capitalism. So we're doing a lot of cool things at PragerU, and it's been a lot of fun.
Awesome.
Yeah.
You look like the right guy to talk about masculinity, like just the voice and timbre, and like you've got more facial hair than I do, you know, and you're younger than I am, and you get like a nice a body. So
Yeah.
Kyle's attracted to you,
I know, I'm
but
not
not in an LA Zoo way.
not an LA Zoo way, just
Just as
normal
in a
two
platonic
guys.
two dudes admiring each other's bodies.
that's it.
Yeah, and nothing wrong about that.
Yeah.
I've gotten a lot of that being out here in LA. A little less in Texas. I don't know if that's geographic, but
Geographic thing.
I'll take it.
So how are you liking LA so far?
I love it, honestly, despite all of the discouragement from all my conservative friends in Texas.
Yeah.
They're like, why are you going to California from Texas? It's the best. And I really never thought I'd leave Texas. I loved it. I'm a Catholic. I'm conservative, obviously, and so that was a good place to be in Texas. But since being out here, the weather's amazing. The scenery is gorgeous. I don't have too many bills to pay right now. so I can still afford the crazy cost of living, and I get a lot of the good parts. So I love it. I really do.
That's how California is. Apart from the politics, which are awful, it really is a great place.
It is.
LA is fun. There's so much to do in California. I wish it was just run better.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's good to be here on the front lines. And like our CEO, Marissa Streit, always says, it's like we're in the belly of the beast. And honestly, in Texas, I felt a little bit more relaxed. I was almost too comfortable. You know what I mean? I was like, it's a great place to live, but I don't have that fire under me that I do in here in California, seeing all the craziness every day.
Here you have just drag queens chasing you down the street all the time.
Yeah, too many drag.
Yeah.
I went to the zoo and I saw drag queens. Again, we'll talk about that later. But it's like everywhere I turn, it gives me a reason to be angry at the leftist politics and to give me a reason to fight back. So I'm loving it.
Oh, that's great. Awesome. Well, we're glad you're here, and we'll talk a little bit more about some of the LA Zoo stuff coming up.
Yeah.
Everybody hit like, subscribe, smash that bell, and keep up with all our podcasts on YouTube. So check out our Babylon Bee podcast YouTube page. We launched that separately from our main page recently. And check out our Babylon Bee podcast page on Instagram and Facebook. We also want you to come to Babylon Bee Live this month, February 24th, our first live event in Fort Worth, Texas. So you can go to BabylonBeeLive.com and check that out. That's going to be a lot of fun. We got Sizzler Facts. We got Subscriber Dare. We got What's in the News this week. Hate Mail. And we finally are going to get back to the mailbag in the subscriber portion. So let's get started.
And we're talking to a dinosaur expert.
Oh.
Right?
Yeah.
Matt McLain.
Yeah, I'm interested. I didn't hear this interview yet, so I'm interested in
Oh, he was cool.
what he had to say.
We also have a subscriber dare.
Friends, are you waiting for the other shoe to drop? Any moment now, another major crisis can pop up and take America by surprise. And that's when the panic starts and the grocery store shelves are stripped bare within hours. We've seen it before, and we'll see it again. If you're not ready for this, you will suffer when the time comes. That's why you must go to preparewithb.com right this very instant and invest in emergency food. We recommend My Patriot Supply, the nation's largest preparedness company with millions of happy customers. Right now, they're knocking $200, get that, $200 off their 3-month emergency food kit. This kit gives you enough breakfast, lunch, and dinners, and drinks and snacks to feed one person for 3 entire months. That's insane. You won't go hungry. At least get 1 kit per person in your family. At $200 off, it's the smartest investment you can make right now. And these kits are currently in stock, and they ship fast and free, so don't put this off. You may not have that luxury later. Go to preparewithb.com right now to save $200 per kit. Preparewithb.com.
This is Subscriber Dare.
This is from Brian Nye. His message is, I would like to submit a subscriber dare. I would like to hear Adam Yenser's opinion or story about the Willard Preacher at Penn State University. I was really excited for this question.
Nothing about this. I don't know.
The Willard Preacher. So you know how you guys know all these like street preachers and evangelists, and I have no idea who they are. Yeah. The Willard Preacher is like, to me, Ray Comfort. He was the guy at Penn State. The philosophy building there is the Willard Building. And from the time I started at Penn State in 2001, he was there years before that. I think he's still there to this day. And he just stands outside the Willard building, the philosophy department, and engages in students walking by to share the gospel with them, oftentimes in a somewhat confrontational way. Sure. He doesn't fight with them or argue with them, but he definitely debates them. And when it comes to the sort of drinking and hookup culture at college, he will, challenge the girls saying, these guys don't have to take you out because you're giving it away for free and things like that. And he will have debates with them about both college life and college culture, and also talking to the philosophy students, in a, more intellectual way about the gospel and about, Christian beliefs. He's a really interesting guy. I forget exactly what denomination he's preaching from, so I wouldn't say I agreed with him on everything he's said there, but he's a cool character because even the people who disagree with him strongly, and when I was there, the gay marriage debate was a big part of the cultural debate, so he was obviously more on the conservative side of that. So even when he's challenging students, and even when they get in pretty heated discussions with him, he was respected by a lot of the students, I think, so he's a sort of fixture on the Penn State campus. I didn't engage with him a whole lot myself, mostly because like I said, I agreed with a lot of what he said, and the times when I would disagree, he's usually engaged with other students. There was always kind of a crowd around him listening to him. Yeah. But yeah, he's an interesting character.
So he wasn't just telling the college students they're going to hell.
He would do that too. Okay. He would lead up to that.
Any good preacher.
Yeah,
does. I
you
mean,
know. Yeah.
he gets around to it.
You open with you're giving it away for free,
Right.
and then you end with you're going to hell.
I like it.
Well, there you go, Brian. Now we have accepted your subscriber dare, and now you have to subscribe. So I hope that story was worth $100 annually to you for the rest of your life. Let's go into what's in the news this week.
What's in the news this week?
This is from CNN opinion page. The police who killed Tyree Nichols were black, but they might still have been driven by racism.
This story was wild. This whole discussion. You probably missed the whole thing. You were off.
No, I saw the highlights about the story. It's such a tragic story with what happened to him,
yeah.
but of course they have to turn it into a divisive race baiting story.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the thing with this story is what did happen was obviously awful. It's disgusting. I saw the video. I don't know if you guys saw it.
I did not watch it.
Absolutely horrific. But justice was served.
Yeah.
Right? These officers were charged. They're going to serve lengthy jail sentences.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we're seeing with all of this this social justice and the outrage and the riots, is that at a certain point we have to rely on our system, and we have to say if this is the crime, this is the punishment, then that's justice being served. But they always want to take it the next step further. They always want to destroy property and I don't how has it gotten to the point in our country where every time an injustice happens, every time something bad happens, law-abiding citizens have to fear for their safety or for their life or for their property, and that's just that's not a society we can live in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So. But what better day to talk about this than every black person's birthday? It's February 1st, Black History Month, which is every black person's birthday, isn't it?
They were all born in February?
Yeah, found February 1st. That's why
just
it's
on the
Black
first
History
day of the
Month.
month.
Yeah,
Well, it's a whole month, so maybe they could be born throughout the month.
Okay, maybe.
But that's an interesting theory. I never made that connection.
No.
But I guess that's true. So the Project Veritas video exposing Pfizer doing gain-of-function research on COVID, that video was taken down from YouTube.
I haven't seen this video. Did this just break? Oh,
You were on top of a volcano.
No, see, I
at
did
the
not.
time.
Yeah, I did not see this one.
Yeah, so it was kind of interesting, the thing that the Pfizer director of research and development was saying. Don't tell anyone this. There is a risk. Have to be very controlled to make sure this virus you mutate doesn't create something the way that the virus started in Wuhan, to be honest. They tricked him into thinking he had a hot date. It turned out to be like, why do these people keep getting fooled by these undercover videos?
Yeah.
It's so funny. And
I also like that the hot date came out and is like, so tell me about your gain of function research.
Yeah.
And I swear, every Veritas, every
you make that
Veritas
segue?
victim,
Yeah.
they're always like, "You're not one of those conservative reporters, are you?" And they're like,
Yeah.
"Lol, no."
Yeah.
They're like, "All right."
We should go out for drinks and talk about gain of function research.
of course, it got deleted.
And
from
was he
YouTube.
specifically speaking about doing new research on the COVID virus?
Yeah, I think
that
they were.
the
He was
context of
talking
it?
about mutating the virus and like they're researching how to mutate the
Oh,
virus.
and I see something
Yeah.
about working on the mRNA, but yeah.
Yeah, we don't have all the quotes here, but it was kind of interesting. So they went ahead and resorted to the old media and rented a giant truck with an LED screen playing the video outside of Pfizer World Headquarters.
Nice.
So owned.
Good tactic. What was YouTube's excuse for taking it down?
I don't know.
Was it that it's misinformation or that it
Probably.
was illegally obtained? Or it's so weird how they always find.
The confrontation
way to
afterwards,
suspend
I think, was the best part when they cornered him in a pizza restaurant.
really?
And he freaked out. He had a total meltdown, and he grabbed James's iPad and smashed it to the ground. He was like breaking down, crying. Called the police. It was wild.
That's how a lot of my dates end.
You're recording me? You want to take this story?
Yeah, we got Finland features 59-year-old transgender skater at European Figure Skating Championship. So every
Skater is a
sporting
strong
event,
word
there's-
to describe this
Yeah.
fella.
Is there any corner of society that we can go that we're not bombarded with transgenders?
Did you see the video?
I did not.
This video is hilarious.
Must watch it.
It's getting to the point, we always say where satire is so close to reality.
Yeah.
But it's like this skater did exactly what someone would do if they were trolling.
Right.
He gets out there and he's just sort of stumbling and can't stay up. And then he falls and he just stays down and he needs help getting up. But not only is he male, he's also 59 years old.
And like,
And
here.
it just feels like there's no reason that should be taken seriously.
Oh my gosh.
And just like wobbly trying to get back up and like, oh, now there's a Michael Scott.
You know what this reminds me of? And like all of the ways that they're propping up the transgenders. It's like, you guys had, high school prom, right? You guys had the high school prom king and queen. It's like when you elect the autistic kid to prom king, and everyone can feel good about it. And you know what? That's nice. I think we did that one year, and it's nice. And they're doing the same thing with transgenders, where it's like we're electing them as the prom king of sports and the prom king of swimming. And it's sweet once, it's sweet twice. But if you're doing like 10 years in the row as, the autistic kid as prom king and queen, it gets to the point where it's like, is it really nice anymore? Like, are we really? It's just ridiculous.
So my favorite part is how they described him. They said, a man who suddenly came out as a trans woman a few years ago and, quote, decided to take up figure skating.
And the next quote, it says, he said he always dreamed of being an ice princess.
And we'll play the clip for you so you all can enjoy it as well.
This person's name is Minna Maria Antikainen. During the ceremony, performed a stilted slow-motion spin around the ice, then took a tumble. It's like in the first 30 seconds. It's
like
to help him
almost
up.
immediately.
It transitioned to a man, or are they misgendering him there?
It's a man.
We call people by their biological sex.
Okay,
here.
that's you guys. Okay, I didn't know if you pulled that right from.
No, we have a misgendering jar. So if you were to call him a woman, you'd have to put $1 in.
I like that
because I feel like the real misgendering is calling a man a woman. They're the ones misgendering.
No, I like that you guys have the jar because I cover a lot of the drag shows and I talk about them a lot, and it messes with my
Every
head.
now and then it slips out.
Yeah, I think about it. I'm like, wait a minute. When they say trans woman, it takes me that second to figure out what that means.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like they tried to, like you said, try to pick the kid to make him prom queen, to make him feel good or whatever.
Yeah.
But couldn't they have picked somebody who had like ice skated before? Like that's the weird thing.
Yes.
Who had been
and it's like the article we ran about this. Every other transgender male to female person has competed in a sport where they dominate.
They just dominate.
Yeah, that actually makes me
know how to figure.
That makes me sad to be a man. It's like I would expect my fellow men to be at least a little bit more athletic.
Yeah,
it's
sad,
just bizarre. So. And you're the masculinity expert.
Yeah, thank you. True.
This is the story that we did not hear about?
Okay, so this was the one that I did the Italian accent for.
Yeah, let's see what happens.
Cultural appropriation.
Are you able to read this one in the Italian accent?
Yeah. Okay. Super Nintendo World opened up in a Universal Hollywood. I can't keep Hollywood and plus-size guests are complaining about not being able to fit on the Mario Kart ride. This seems like it would be coming out of Japan because like there's no fat people in Japan, but I'm surprised that they're doing it in woke Hollywood.
Well, I think the rides originally came out in the Japanese Universal Studios, if I'm not getting that wrong, and then like the one in Tokyo or whatever. And so they probably and all Japanese people are skinny, so they probably just kept the exact same cart size, move them here, and Americans are way too big.
That makes sense.
That's my guess.
You give them the same cart in Japan, and they're like, we don't let cows ride on our rides.
Oh, that's funny.
But here, they're like, okay, that's the average size of a human being.
It says TikToker David Vaughn gave his followers a heads up about the size restriction on the video sharing platform, saying, unfortunately, the new Mario Kart Bowser's Challenge attraction comes with a warning that guests whose waistline is at least 40 inches or greater may not be accommodated on the ride, which is ironic because in the game, Bowser's one of the fattest drivers.
He just spills over
he's
the
one
whole
of the biggest,
cart,
slowest. He's one of the biggest, slowest cars.
It's comical.
Yeah. But that sounds good to me because I live right down the street, so maybe I can go there and the line won't be as long because all the fat tourists can't do that one.
Honestly, though, like I know we're like making this about body positivity and triggered TikTokers or whatever, but 40 inches isn't that big. Like that's not a massively obese 600-pound person, right? Like a 40-inch waist.
How do you have a 40-inch waist?
I don't. I'm like 32.
Oh,
but that's
okay.
Like eight more inches it isn't like.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's big. I'm saying it's big, but it's not like you would expect to be able to go on a ride at a theme park as a 40-inch.
We'd have to
Google
get
what a 40-inch man looks like. Google 40-inch man. No, don't do that.
There's another comment someone wrote. Another one of the ride's critics, a Twitter user named Anna, wrote, "Can we discuss how at my biggest I would not have been able to fit on Mario Kart? A 40-inch waistline is about a size 20. Are you freaking kidding me? Uni Studios. It's a dark ride.
Oh, this person said what you said. You can't have a Mario Kart ride that Bowser and DK wouldn't be allowed on.
Look at that.
That's a better case than I'm just too big to be on it.
true.
They're at least have some continuity with the characters.
Yeah.
I like that argument.
Maybe it'll motivate people. They're like, I gotta hit the gym and get in shape so I can try that awesome Mario Kart ride.
Yeah. That's a good motivation. You need to set little rewards, little goals for yourself. So that's not bad. 1 out of every 179 Americans will eventually be murdered if the crime rate continues steady fights. That's a great projection. I love
That's
that.
also one of those shock studies because I mean, even when the crime rate goes up, it doesn't increase steadily, constantly for years.
Look to the person to your
funny.
left.
Yes, one
and
of
the person at your right. One of you will be murdered. But it sounds like the worst, so this is about the crime rate, obviously, but it says that the worst 5% of counties contain 47% of the population and account for 73% of the murders. So only people who live in LA really need to worry.
Yeah.
Like you two.
I don't leave my house, so I think I'm safe. I don't go downtown LA. Don't go to Hollywood. I think I'll be good.
Yeah.
I just stay in my house.
You know, I know they probably just cleaned the area up, but I stayed in downtown LA for the first time in years this weekend at the like LA Live area.
was
it
it?
was awesome. It was great.
Oh, really?
We didn't like see any hobos or anything, you know. I think when we were driving towards Glendale, like we saw some of the tents that were like under the freeway overpasses and kind of on them and stuff. But other than that, it was like, but I'm sure they clean up that area being a touristy area or whatever.
Yeah.
So it didn't seem that bad.
I got a call this week because somebody in Northern California with my same last name was murdered, and they were trying to find a next of kin, but it wasn't.
Seriously?
It wasn't somebody I knew.
He's an
It had no relation to me. There's no other people from my family in California.
It's a bizarre call to get. Who was the policeman? Called you?
The sheriff,
Oh, wow.
yeah.
Wow.
It's a scary call. Do you have
Yeah.
any next of kin? You're like, wait, is that my long lost cousin or something?
Yeah,
that I didn't know about?
I even checked with my family. I was like, we don't have any other relatives out here, do we?
Oh man.
Yeah.
So that's the 1 out of every
So
179.
yeah, apparently.
Wow.
Here's the next story. This might be a what's not in the news segment. Pope Benedict had a book published posthumously. I never know how to say that word out loud.
I think you said it pretty well.
I read it a lot, but I don't say it a lot out loud.
I say posthumously, and I
I
don't
think it's
that's right.
posthumously, where he stated that gay clubs were being run in Catholic seminaries under his progressive successor, Francis.
This offends me specifically. I don't know. You guys are Christian, right? Are you Christian? Okay, I'm Catholic. I don't know.
We're Christian, you're Catholic. Got it.
Okay. Well, are you guys, what denomination are y'all?
I'm Lutheran.
Yeah, I'm like Baptist-y.
Okay.
Yeah. But no.
Oh, you're leaving? Oh, that's like,
But I mean,
you were going to come punch us or what?
Even as someone who's not Catholic, I want someone, because the Pope is the representative of a lot of Christian beliefs to a lot of the world. I want somebody who's based in that position, you know? Like, you want somebody with the right beliefs there.
Right. And he goes, this is directly against the Bible, and it's not hateful to say what's, going on in your book. This goes directly against the teachings of the Bible. And it's ridiculous that the shepherd of our faith is going against this for social currency in our progressive world. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I saw the story. It was pretty crazy. It sounded like Benedict had this whole memoir written, and he had instructions like, don't publish this until I die, and then you can publish it, about like these gay clubs being run.
Oh, really?
There. So yeah, I didn't see the details of what exactly a gay club is, if they were just knitting or, what was going on in there.
Yeah,
but,
really.
Yeah, it's one thing to say like not to judge, because I agreed. I forget what Pope said that who am I to judge on the
Jesus.
gays, and that's
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we're all sinners. So, but it's another thing to like promote it as something that's good. Crazy stuff.
Yeah.
I've heard for years, I don't follow like Vatican news as closely as other stuff, but I've heard for years rumors that there's like a gay cabal within the Catholic Church, and that's like trying to push this stuff actively. Do you know if that's true or real?
Well, I've seen all the Catholic priests that have been doing bad things to kids. I don't know if that's like a cabal. I didn't know if it was like I didn't think it was a concerted, like specific thing.
That's
Have you been hearing about that?
I don't know either.
Okay.
Like they meet
But
on
I've heard
Tuesdays
rumors
at
that
2
there is.
p.m.
I've heard that there is like an activist wing or group. Yeah, but I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's maybe what some of the stuff he was touching on. was interesting. Well, here's it's not just Catholics who are heretics. Andy Stanley says that basing your faith on the Bible will weaken your faith. So Andy Stanley is a popular megachurch pastor, North Point Church. I think I might have gotten that right. And he's one of the most popular Christian pastors in Protestantism. And years ago, he said that we should unhitch from the Old Testament And then he declared a couple weeks ago that a gay person coming to church has more faith than I do and has more faith than a lot of you. He referred to the Bible passages about homosexuality as clobber passages and said that basing your faith on the Bible is not enough for most people. So his little slide here says, when you anchored the authority of your teaching in the Bible, you reinforce an assumption that has the potential to weaken rather than establish faith. He always says something like this about the Bible, like once a year, twice a year. He's just like, it's time to attack the Bible a little bit.
Those people should all go listen to Gary the Willard Preacher instead.
Instead of it.
Yeah.
If the Bible is the foundation of our faith, as the Bible goes, so goes our faith. The Bible says is not an adequate starting or returning point for many adults. And
He's really just preaching against the Bible
just,
how is
he
he
really
a
doesn't
priest
like it.
anymore?
Yeah.
Yeah, and again, it's one thing to say like let's be open and let's not judge, but it's another thing to lean into sin or to say altogether that we're not based in everything, and just like our society's doing, we're not rooted in any objective truth. Everyone's a sinner, but to lean into it as it's like something good, like you don't hear about the drunken. Nobody labels us the drunk priest or the adultering priest.
Yeah.
It's like, we can deal with that and say, help you with your drunkenness or your lust, but to lean into it is just insane.
Yeah. What Andy Stanley's trying to do, I think, is he always tries to push the importance of the resurrection, which is a good thing. Like the resurrection is a historical fact. And if Jesus rose from the dead, but the Bible's not true, then that's still true, but we only know the testimony of it because of the Bible, so it's the truth of God's word and we should trust in that. And the two go hand in hand. So he tries to set them up against each other. It's a weird thing, obsession that he seems to have. So.
Well, I see see what you're saying. I actually see a little bit of truth in that. Like I always say to people, and I believe this myself, that I read the Bible, but I don't memorize it. I think memorizing the Bible and reading too many scriptures can kind of warp your perception. Well, this says exactly this, so I can get away with this or that or whatever. And I generally think the Word of God is within us all, and it's written on our hearts, and you don't necessarily need to read line for line and make that be your basis for every interaction. I think it's all within us. But to just say let's get rid of it.
It sounds like he's been going to. Well, he's a Catholic. He doesn't like the Bible. That's fine. All right, let's move on to our Babylon Bee banger of the week.
Americans are discovering that if we want to change the nation, we have to change the way the marketplace works. And that change starts with you, with your local communities, and with your wallet. Be deliberate with your dollars and reject woke corporations. Imagine a world in which every single dollar you spend would go towards companies that share your values for life, liberty, and patriotism. Now with the Public Square app, you can. Public SQ, or Public Square, is an app and website that connects freedom-loving Americans to the community and companies that share their values. Engage in a nationwide platform with the largest directory of patriotic businesses and consumers, all while accessing exclusive savings at businesses that see the world the way you do. The marketplace is free to join for consumers and business owners alike. To get started and shop your values, download the Public Square app from the App Store or Google Play, or click on the link in the video description.
Banger of the week.
So this was our most viewed article in the last week, and it's introducing the Babylon Bee AOC article generator.
The Babylon Bee presents the AOC Article Generator.
So we had our programmer, Dan Dillon, our programmer, he's our CTO, and he tied our website into ChatGTP and had it automatically generates a new article about AOC being dumb every time you click on it. So
Let's see which one we get this time.
let's look at a few.
AOC warns we must stand up for the absolute power of absolutely nothing.
Okay.
And she's yelling. Is it always the same picture of her?
Well, it pulls from random Photoshops that we've done.
I
of
see. It's
AOC.
her yelling through a megaphone at people in line for.
And it actually generates a whole article copy too, which
Oh,
is
wow.
bizarre. So let's see what the next one is. Click here to generate a new AOC article.
AOC permanently locked out of Slack channel after misusing a smiley
A
face.
smiley face emoji.
Huh.
Okay.
Interesting.
All right. AOC so confused she mistook Google Maps directions for political platform. All right, let's do a couple more here.
All right. AOC unveils plan to reduce airplane emissions involving blowing them away with a giant fan. Like that one.
Was that in the Green New Deal?
That was, yeah. And one more.
AOC unveils new plan to increase costs of toothbrushes by replacing them with $4,000.
I love ChatGTP, man. This is just,
That's great.
it's pretty amazing. So,
And we also have a bomb of the week,
Bomb of the week.
obviously written by a person.
human.
Pence turns himself into childhood scoutmaster after discovering he accidentally kept knot tying manual.
Aw. Poor Mike Pence. I always like the ones where Mike Pence is just a very square.
Yeah, it's
type of
just
fella.
a sort of lame dope.
The kid that you
A
would
goody two shoes.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
the kid that you would elect prom king just to be nice. You know?
Yeah.
That's autistic.
Oh, sorry. Okay. All right, now it is.
And he wouldn't be allowed near the prom queen without his wife
It's
present.
true. It's true. I must decline. I can't
Yeah.
go up there. Now it is time for Sizzler Facts. 15 weeks ago, we debuted a new feature to the podcast called Sizzler Facts. This week, we're going to talk about Sizzler at the movies.
Sizzler at the movies.
Did you know that Sizzler has been featured on the silver screen on many occasions? You might not have heard about it since the mainstream media controls the narrative and won't cover Sizzler movies. They deliberately suppress factual reporting of all the choices you'll find at the Sizzler salad bar. So there was a Reddit post from username Lazy Buttons and some of our listeners who sent in some clips from Sizzler films. So in the movie White Men Can't Jump,
I remember that movie.
yeah, they're chanting on the basketball court, "We goin' Sizzler," which is defined by Urban Dictionary as sports trash talk from the early 1990s, used to intimidate opponents by implying that those who go in Sizzler had already won the game and were planning to celebrate at Sizzler Steakhouse.
That's
Often,
awesome.
and as in the movie, the statement "we go in Sizzler" is known to backfire.
I want to start using that phrase now.
Oh man, we're going Sizzler.
Yeah, we're going Sizzler. It's not just in movies, but also in television. In season 6, episode 5 of Wings, The Waxman Cometh, Lowell inherits a large sum of money and decides to buy a rundown wax museum. When Faye asks when the crowds will be coming to the grand opening, Brian replies, "Soon as they tear this place down and put up a Sizzler."
Oh man, it was really a cultural icon for a while. Do you want to take this one from Goonies?
Robert Kepler wrote in to remind us that the movie Goonies, Chunk calls the police to report the Fratelli brothers. The police think it's a prank call since Chunk had previously called them to report that 50 Iranian terrorists had taken over all of the Sizzler steakhouses in the city.
On a second season episode of Seinfeld, Kramer is at a hospital and says, "They have a great cafeteria downstairs. Hot food, sandwiches, salad bar. It's like Sizzler opened up in a hospital."
Dude, the choices, that's what it's
choice-
all
yeah,
about. In the 1995 film Heavyweights, the character Josh, after being sent home from camp by Tony Perkis, eats a meal at a Sizzler, and after arriving back at camp, mentions this to one of the other characters. "First I went to the Sizzler, got that all-you-can-eat meal. I closed the place."
In the 1996 film The Nutty Professor, Reggie Warrington, Dave Chappelle, cracks a satirical joke on Buddy Love, Eddie Murphy's character, saying, "Your mother is so fat, she went to Sizzlers and the
Bigfoot.
got a group discount." Ironically, this was a reference to Mrs. Clump, whom Buddy Love does not seem to be affiliated with.
I like that it's described as a satirical joke about his mom being fat at a
It's a
Sizzler.
satirical joke. Now, this is actually a song, not a film, but in Weird Al Yankovic's song Albuquerque, the narrator achieves his lifelong dream by getting a part-time job at a Sizzler. He also gets awarded Employee of the Month after he puts out a grease fire with his face.
In the 1998 film Slums of Beverly Hills, Al Arkin's character considers Sizzler gourmet food, repeatedly exclaiming, "Okay, let's go to the Sizzler."
In Happy Gilmore, Shooter McGavin hires an unruly fan, Donald, to heckle Happy on the golf course. He gives him a call. "Shooter, you want to go to Sizzler and get some grub?"
I forgot that was in there.
There's only 12 more movies that we have to get through.
Oh my
Should
gosh!
we read
I
all
didn't know
these?
there's. So it's also in the movie Carpool. Tom Arnold's character yells at his mom, who abused the all-you-can-eat meal, which results in a police standoff. "Don't go there, Mom. Don't go there, Mom. Do not go to Sizzler, Mom. For the love of..." Third Commandment violation.
In Ghostbusters 2, when Egon, Ray, and Winston go to pick up Peter prior to investigating the sewer, Peter surmises that they are on the way to all-you-can-eat barbecue rib night at the Sizzler.
Wow.
In an episode of Roseanne says that a celebration at La Sizzler is called after Bev gives her and Jackie $10,000.
Who Jackie?
Who Jackie? In an episode of 2.5 Men, Jake said that the ancient Romans had a place called Vomitorium where people could eat as much as they wanted, puke, and then eat some more. And Berta said, well, just like the Sizzler.
Yeah, we can rattle off the rest. So Family Matters, the characters talk about going to Sizzler as a fancy meal. In the Jamie Foxx show, after him and his girlfriend reconcile, he promises to take her someplace really fancy, like Sizzler. In an episode of The Parkers, Kim wakes up to see a buffet prepared by Nikki and exclaims, I died and went to Sizzlers. In the Bloodhound Gang song 3.14, the restaurant is mentioned in the lyric, I want my next chick anorexic. The winner is the thinner. Won't have to take her skinny
Donkey.
out to a fancy dinner like Sizzler. This has been Sizzler Facts.
And fun fact, when I did stand-up in Hawaii, the host, he goes by Johnny Rocks Hollywood. He's a Hawaii comic. And I was talking to him, and he used to be a manager at a Sizzler.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
Wow.
I got to work with a former Sizzler employee.
Fascinating. This has been Sizzler Comments.
Sizzler comments.
And now it is time for Travis's Game Corner. Let's have Travis tell us a little bit about some video games that have been on his mind.
Travis's Game Corner.
In my restless dreams, I see that town, Silent Hill. You promised to take me there someday, but you never did. I'm there now, waiting for you in our special place. Yes, that's right, friends. I'm here to talk about Sonic the Hedgehog 2, the greatest of all Sonic games. It's weird because Sonic the Hedgehog 2 has always felt more personal. And not just because it was the first Sonic game I owned, but because he foils all of Dr. Robotnik's plans in the first game, and now suddenly he's like, it's just more personal. Like, I always feel like he's a foil for Robotnik, but now I'm tracking Sonic. I'm going for it. But that's also partially because I used to misunderstand Sonic's origins. I always thought, oh, Sonic's just a failed experiment. So Sonic's always like freeing all the captured animals at the end of a level. That's why Robotnik is after him, because he's a failed experiment. He's running off crazy. But the truth is, Sonic apparently comes from Christmas Island, and he is the result of heavy radiation poisoning from numerous nuclear bomb tests by the British Empire. So that's interesting. And Christmas Island isn't to be confused with Easter Island, which has other problems, like the big heads. But anyway, it gets weirder when it gets to Sonic Adventure, because Sega never really understood what 3D games were, and they could never really adapt Sonic to that environment, except that they put Shamu there, and Shamu tries to kill Sonic in the first level, which is very strange. I mean, what do whales care about hedgehogs? But at the same time, I actually kind of like those 3D levels. But the weird thing about Sonic Adventure was how it had that hub world, and then it had all those other characters you could play as. So you could play as Tails, who literally just follows Sonic around, and you could play as a robot and a fat cat. I don't remember if you could play as anyone else. Knuckles? I don't know. Anyway, the fat cat and the robot, they all had different styles of play, which would have been cool and creative if their levels were any entertaining at all. They're not. The cat fishes, I guess. What does Sonic eat? Does he eat berries? Anyway, so Sonic Adventure 2 comes out, and then it's like, oh yeah, they're going to fix it. It's just going to be Sonic levels. No, they double down on it. They put Tails in a mech, and he shoots stuff. It's bizarre. The Sonic levels are still pretty fun. It's all the other fluff. But it's weird to me because they thought they learned all the wrong lessons from Sonic Adventure 2 to Sonic Adventure 1. Because Sonic Adventure 1 had that hub world, which was kind of strange, but it wasn't bad. It was just like, hey, I get a place to explore or whatever. And then you would come across some Japanese guy and he's like, la la love, which I thought was weird. But you do you, man. But then Sonic Adventure 2, they're like, no more hub world. No more stuff like that. Just straight up levels. And if they had like 100 Sonic levels, That might have actually been pretty cool, but no. A handful of Sonic levels, and then Tails with a mech suit, and was Shadow in that one? I think Shadow's the bad guy. Well, I know he's the bad guy. I think he was introduced in that one. Oh, they had you got to play as the bad guys in that one. So then you also had Robotnik in a mech suit to counter Tails, and Shadow countered Sonic. It's such a dumb game, but also great, but terrible. But then after that, they lost all cohesiveness whatsoever. And then suddenly you're like Sonic and the 50 Thieves or something, and Sonic and the Colors of the Rainbow, and Sonic eating a hamburger really fast. A bunch of weird stuff. So supposedly they got Sonic, well, not the Lost World. That's a game. Not the one. Whatever the one that just came out, Sonic Frontier. Supposedly that's more open, and it's oh, we understand 3D now. I'll believe it when I see it. I haven't played it. Send your donations to travis@babylonb.com, and then I can buy it and play it before my children do.
Oh, well, that was great. Thank
That
you,
was great.
Travis.
Travis is the best.
Now, who is second best? Adam Yenser, and he is going to give us weekly news.
It's time for the weekly news with Adam Yenser.
This week, the world's first transgender figure skater made they's debut at the European Figure Skating Championships in Finland and fell down in less than 30 seconds. Fans are calling it the 4th or 5th gayest thing to ever happen in figure skating. The skater's name is Minna Maria and is the only women's skater on the Scandinavian peninsula with a peninsula. A former speechwriter for Vladimir Putin said it's possible that he will be deposed by a military coup. He then asked Congress to send money, tanks, and fighter jets to help with their military coup. Nikki Haley is expected to announce that she is running for president on February 15th, and Trump is expected to announce a new nickname for Nikki Haley on February 16th. A woman in Chicago was arrested for stealing $1.5 million worth of chicken wings from the school where she worked, which thanks to Bidenflation and rising prices amounts to 10 chicken wings. According to a new poll, 78% of the residents in George Santos's district want the lying congressman to resign, while across all districts in the U.S., only 60% of residents want their lying congressman to resign. Police arrested a mother and father in Connecticut for letting their 7-year-old and 9-year-old walk down the street alone to Dunkin' Donuts. Police said, "We don't care that they were alone. We're mad they took the last jelly filled." After California Governor Gavin Newsom decriminalized loitering for the sake of prostitution, pimps and hookers have returned to Figueroa Street in Los Angeles. The Weekly News team is still trying to figure out where on Figueroa Street they are, what time they'll be there, and what the prices are like. That's it for Weekly News. To see more, check out my YouTube channel and come see me live. I'll be at the Looney Bin in Wichita, Kansas, February 9th to 11th, the Comedy Chateau in North Hollywood, February 18th, and at On the Rocks in Helsinki, Finland, March 1st. Thanks, Adam Yenser.
That was clearly second best.
Yes. Second only to Travis.
Yeah, it's true. We can't. Travis is the funniest person I know.
Yeah.
So I'm just, no offense.
Watch out for those groomers.
Okay, now we're going to talk to Aldo, who is the man on the street. Although right now he's a man in a chair. And he went to the LA Zoo and he asked people there why they would bring their kids to a drag show. He also went on YouTube and saw how YouTube was grooming children with LGBTQ propaganda when you sign up for an ages 9 to 12 account.
Jeez.
So let's talk about the LA Zoo thing first. So they hosted an all-ages drag show with tickets available for children and infants in relationship with LA Pride. So you attended, and what'd you see? Just tell us a little bit about them.
Yeah, so I first found out about
Don't be
this.
too graphic. Kids watch the show.
Yeah, I know. We don't groom here at the Babylon Bee. That's just for YouTube and the LA Zoo. But it was brought to my attention first. One of the people that we work with at Prager U is a member of the LA Zoo, and she got an email saying, "Hey, we're throwing this drag event in collaboration with Pride Night." And when she clicked the link, they were selling tickets to 2-year-olds, infants younger than 2, and to kids, and saying that they were selling alcohol.
Infants can't even use a computer to click on the buy button.
I know. I don't know why they were doing that, but I saw infants there. But I went and I said, I have to just check this out and see if this is actually going on, because I couldn't believe it. And when I got there, I saw infants in strollers. I saw tons of kids, dozens of kids that were 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old. And I spoke to the director of equity programming before the event that was adamant that there was nothing sexually charged about it, that it was family friendly. Spoke to the communications director at the zoo, and they said the same thing. This is family friendly. But it was anything but that. It was a glorified strip show. Again, this is adult men dressed up in scantily clad women's clothing that were twerking in front of children. And I subsequently asked those two people, Jess Coring, the equity director, and Carl Myers, the communications director, afterwards, do you guys stand by this? Was this a family-friendly event? And unsurprisingly, they then called the police, tried to get us kicked out, wouldn't answer any questions, said to stop filming them. So that response said a lot to me, that me asking questions was somehow more offensive than men twerking in front of kids. But it was grotesque. It was disgusting.
Wow.
Jeez. And is this something they do regularly, or was this a first one? Do you know?
No, so it was a first. It was in their ongoing, mission to keep having inclusive events at the zoo. I actually had a couple employees of the zoo reach out to me via email and message me on social media afterwards saying that this has been going on for a while. After the last director of the zoo, president of the zoo, resigned about 4 years ago, and they hired this new director of the zoo. I'm forgetting her name now, but she implemented a new an executive cabinet to take over the operations at the zoo. And these employees describe this cabinet as mostly left-leaning people. Like they hired Jess Coring and this Carl Myers guy. And when that happened, he started seeing a shift in the zoo, less focused on the animals and more focused on equity and diversity. He said in the last 4 years, they've had no training on the actual animals, and it's all been DEI. It's been about, changing the bathroom, the genders on the bathrooms. And so it's basically been an institution for diversity and equity and inclusion, and essentially just wokeism. This is just one of the examples of this woke indoctrination and this woke infiltration of the LA Zoo. So they're going to keep pushing it. I called Jess, and I called Carl, and I called the zoo dozens of times in the weeks after the event, and to no avail. Couldn't get in contact with them. I left my name and number many times. I emailed them. I didn't get an email back. I think they're mad at me. So,
are you welcome back to look at the animals?
I mean, I was looking at the animals. That's what.
Did you see any good animals?
Actually, they had this lights all night show, and it was actually pretty cool. So I wish it stayed.
That's what the zoo should be about: seeing the animals, not seeing drag queen shows. It's so weird how all those DEI initiatives. This is taking place at a zoo, but I've worked at Hollywood productions, at television shows, and production companies where they do this. Those DEI initiatives come in, and it's just to push politics and to push that leftist LGBT culture on the entire workplace. It has nothing to do with what they're actually doing work-wise there.
Yeah.
It's
crazy. There's certainly many things in society, in a free society, that I don't agree with, and drag is one of them. But at the same time, if you want to do drag, I can't stop you.
Yeah.
The thing that I can stop you doing is doing it in front of kids.
Yeah.
Because as a society, there's many things that we deem inappropriate for them to consume: alcohol, porn, whatever. And this should be added to the list. And the only reason it hasn't is because they do this under the banner of gay pride, just like at the LA Zoo. This is Pride Night. This is, LA Pride. This is about gay rights. And so what's happening is you're having predators and groomers and these sexual, groomers, I'll just say again, they're corrupting, and they're co-opting this tolerance. This all-encompassing tolerance to get away with grooming in plain sight. And it's for the most part working, because they know that nobody can call this out, or they'll be called homophobic or bigoted or whatever. But I think people are finally seeing it for what it is.
Yeah.
But we got to stop it. It's crazy.
The only grooming at the zoo should be the monkey picking lice off the other monkey's back, and only a male and female monkey.
Exactly.
No gay monkeys touching each other.
Amen.
Yeah.
Have you consulted with Will Witt for hair tips and advice?
No. How am I doing, though, without his advice?
Well, yeah.
Ooh, Kyle, that was a negative response.
No, I just
I think your hair looks fine.
Your hair does look fine. I'm just
Kyle's
saying,
more attracted to your body, if we remember from earlier.
just Will has the legendary, it's legendary.
It is. He's got the iconic look. I'm slowly, he left some stuff at the office. I think I have one of his Hawaiian shirts.
Okay.
I gotta get a pair of glasses, so I'm gonna slowly morph into Will Witt without anyone at Prager noticing. It's a slow transition.
Oh, your body's much nicer than his, so I'm just. man on the street stuff, what is the craziest thing that's happened? Have you ever gotten like
Oh, that's
attacked
interesting.
or-
I was doing a man on the street in Berkeley. I went up to Berkeley a couple months ago to interview Matt Walsh actually for his What is a Woman documentary. And while I was there, I was shooting some videos on campus. And I had this...
that
this
school leans to the left?
A little bit.
Okay.
A little bit, I would say. But I had this group of people that I could tell were looking at me. I could feel their eyes in the back of my head. So I looked over and I went over them to confront them, and they were like, "Don't come closer, don't come closer." And they were filming me, and they eventually called security on me.
Okay.
I don't know for what. I think they were just
So no
scared that I was
personal,
there.
like someone jumping you or anything? But
Not yet. Not
getting
yet.
security, getting kicked out of places, probably the
Yeah,
worst thing.
that's
so
about
far.
it.
Okay.
Kicked me out of the zoo. Tried to get me kicked off of Berkeley, but that's about it.
Cool. And then at PragerU, you have something called the Protecting Innocence Project. What is that?
Yeah, so the entire month of January, we had a campaign about protecting children's innocence. Basically, like I said, we need more people. There's in every part of society right now, children's innocence is being attacked, whether that's through gay literature in our public schools, whether that's through drag shows at zoos, and in public places, whether that's through big tech pushing this LGBTQ propaganda on our kids. So we're at PragerU recognizing the importance of protecting children's innocence. So we started the month-long campaign to make people aware of this, just to spread the word. And we have a pledge that you can find on our website, so you can join the fight with us and help us fight back against these groomers and predators. And we need your help. So go to PragerU.com and sign the pledge and help us in the fight.
Nice. And then quick, what did you find on YouTube? Because you mentioned the thing at the zoo, and then you also found that YouTube is promoting this sort of content to kids.
Yeah, so YouTube, again, is another one of these big tech companies that is promoting the same kind of thing. I wanted to dig in deeper and see just how pervasive it was. So I went on YouTube Kids. I made an account as a child to see what YouTube was pushing the kids in their algorithm. One of the first videos I saw was this one. It was meet a gender non-conforming person. I started looking around a little bit more, and there was dozens and dozens of videos where they're promoting drag shows and drag queens, where they're teaching kids about queer kids, and just quickly...
Meaning of Pride featuring drag queen Nina West, which was a Nickelodeon Pride song that they released with like the Blues Clues dog.
Yeah, and one of the
Meet a Queer
main...
Kid featuring Desmond.
One of the main accounts that they have, one of the main channels, is called Queer Kid Stuff. It's hosted by this former lesbian and queer who is now a transgender, Lindsay Amer, where they go through every letter in the gender spectrum and teaching kids about the LGBTs, telling them about drag and about transgenders, about bisexuals, and most bizarrely, teaching kids how to consent. And, you know, they say in the video that it's about consenting to kids playing with your toys or trading your lunches. But it's really weird that they are, you know, pushing in their algorithm to 9 and 11 and 10 and 12-year-olds how to give consent, especially under the backdrop of this minor attracted persons movement, which is just pedophilia with a new name on it, pushing for this exact same thing, which is that they're decoupling age and consent. And there are a lot of people out there, and I included in my thread, that they're saying, well, as long as these kids understand the concept of consent, then it's not bad. And so what this really is you have YouTube aiding and really pushing alongside this movement to de-age consent and sex. It's disgusting.
Wild. Smash those tablets, parents,
Yeah, seriously.
with a sledgehammer.
And if you're looking for a new place to give your kids good family-friendly content, we do that at PragerU. So
Don't smash your tablets.
yeah,
Delete YouTube and install PragerU if there's an app.
I can personally guarantee you that we will not groom your kids.
They will groom them into conservatism.
Into free thinkers.
Yeah, maybe don't use that slogan. All right, now we're going to talk to Matthew McLain, who's an associate professor of biological science and geoscience from the Masters University. And we talked to him about how some dinosaurs seem to have feathers.
Yeah, so he's a paleontologist and expert on dinosaurs. And he supports the theory that a lot of dinosaurs had feathers. He also is a creationist and believes the Earth, in the young Earth theory. And he was really fascinating to talk to.
Awesome.
It was great.
Here we go.
The dollar just hit a 7-month low. Why would you trust your hard-earned savings with unstable governments printing more money while on the brink of default? Protect your financial future with something real. Gold and silver from my friends at Allegiance Gold. Allegiance Gold can help you protect your IRA or 401k with physical gold and silver, or if you prefer, have it delivered securely right to your front door. Allegiance Gold has the highest ratings in the industry. 5 stars with TrustLink, a AAA rating with Business Consumer Alliance, and an A+ with Better Business Bureau. Get up to $500 in free silver with a qualifying purchase when you visit allegiancegold.com/B. Or give them a call at 844-790-9191. We may not be able to control the policies of the Biden administration, but we can prepare for the consequences. Protect your future with Allegiance Gold. Visit allegiancegold.com/B or call 844-790-9191.
And now it's time for another interview on the Babylon Bee Podcast.
Welcome so much to the Babylon Bee interview show. We are here with Dr. Matt McLain from the Masters University. This is my co-host, Adam Yenser.
Good to be here.
A couple of quick, fun, kind of small world personal connections, Dr. McLain, before we get into your research on feathery dinosaurs, which is heresy. The fun, small world connections, you like Star Wars, and
Yes.
you and your wife like Thor, such that your wife has a Mjolnir mug. Is this correct?
This is correct. Yeah.
And we were just talking right before we crashed in and started recording about French philosopher Jacques Derrida. You and your wife are both fluent in French?
No, my wife is fluent. She's from France. I am not, sadly.
What is the French word for dinosaur?
Dinosaur.
Ah, that's one of those like transliterations.
Yeah, that's an easy one.
So you work for the Masters University, and just by way of full disclosure, I'm biased because I'm also a part-time adjunct professor at the Masters University. But I wanted to ask a pretty neutral, kind of unbiased question. If someone wanted to go to a school that was serious about the Bible and located in Southern California so they could hike a 14er or go surfing in the same day, if someone wanted to go to a school that bought into inerrancy, do you have any recommendations?
Yes, I think I do. It's a Masters University. That's what I recommend. There you go.
Okay, great choice. So dinosaurs,
Yeah.
they can't have feathers. It's heresy. What is your response?
I disagree. Some did have feathers, and it's not heretical.
Do you think it ruins them a little bit? Like I've read a little bit about it, and I think they had feathers, but I don't like that they had feathers. They were kind of more fun without the feathers, weren't they?
You know, I can see why you'd say that, but no, I think, and you know, first of all, some aren't. I mean, like, you're not going to see like a brachiosaurus covered in feathers. Like, that doesn't make any sense, you know. But no, I think we're so used to seeing them with scales. But if you spend any time with like terrifying birds, you know, cassowaries and things like that, you'd say, yeah, no, I would still be amazed by this creature.
They can still be scary.
Yes, it could still disembowel me, and you know, I'd still run away for sure.
So dinosaurs, were they created on day 5 or 6 of creation? And were birds created on day 5 or day 6 of creation?
So it's a good question. So day 5 says that flying creatures are made. Actually, the word bird is not used in there in the Hebrew. So I think that would include things like, you know, your birds, your bats, pterosaurs, and possibly some of our dinosaurs with feathers potentially would have been made then. But most of your dinosaurs are land animals, so they're going to be made on day 6.
Does a flying squirrel count as a flying animal? Like animals that glide?
Oh,
you know, that's the problem. I mean, what taxonomy is Moses using, right?
Yeah.
You know, I think he's just saying like, hey, there's flying stuff, there's swimming stuff, there's land stuff. I don't think he's really, you know, going
Any
to
animal
it.
can fly if you throw it.
If that's your definition, yeah.
folk taxonomy.
Yeah. Now, you did describe them as reptiles, though, so they were reptiles that had feathers?
So the term reptile means something different to your average person than it means to like a scientist. You know, so
I'm the average
we think
person. Talk to
There
me
you
like
go.
I'm an average idiot that throws animals.
So reptile would be just, you know, when you think of a common thing, you think of a cold-blooded scaly animal, right?
Uh-huh.
When you look at the fossil record, there's all kinds of things that we still call reptiles that are super, super different, right? You've got marine reptiles that have got like blubber and they're the size of whales. You've got ones that can fly and that are covered in hair-like things. So yeah, you've also got some that have feathers. And so an evolutionist would automatically say a bird is a dinosaur and therefore also a reptile.
Whereas, we might say, well, there's similarities there, as anatomical similarities. If you want to call it in terms of just nested groups like reptile, dinosaur, bird, you could do that, but it's going to be kind of confusing for the common person. So, yeah.
Cool.
You mentioned evolutionists. In 1 Kings 19, there's a famous story where Elijah is complaining and God reassures him that there's still 7,000 who have not yet bowed the knee to Baal. Is the Masters University one of the 7,000 Christian schools who have not yet bowed the knee to Darwin?
Yeah, so we are unashamedly young Earth.
And you're carrying the torch forward in terms of there's the retirement of some very seasoned professors, Dr. Anderson and Dr. Francis. What's the future of the department look like, especially with regards to being committed creationists?
Yeah, well, we want to keep to that, right? So as we're looking for new faculty to fill those positions, we're wanting, we're asking them those questions about, are you young Earth? What do you mean by that? What do you think about these topics? And then we want to encourage research. We're always trying to do that here with undergrads, and we want to see that continue an even greater way into the future.
When exactly did Satan bury the feathery dinosaur bones in the soil to trick and confuse us? To make us think the Earth is older.
Yeah, that was right before he buried all the other fossils. He started with those. It's funny you say that. Like the Middle Ages, they had all kinds of unusual ideas about fossils. Like there's these oysters that they would call devil's toenails, and they thought that when he crashed, his toenails, I guess, like fell off and were scattered everywhere.
Oh,
he has a lot of toes apparently, or just a lot of toenails. I don't know how it works, but yeah. Yeah.
I have a joke about, this is a complete tangent in my stand-up, about how we just name everything after the devil that like God created. Like whenever there's a mountain, it's like Devil's Peak, or whenever there's a canyon, it's like Devil's Canyon. And it's like, no, God made all that stuff.
Almost everything in Death Valley is Devil's something.
Yeah, it's all
like Devil's Golf Course.
Yeah.
There's Devil's Punch Bowl.
Yes.
Yep.
There's Devil's Backbone.
Yeah.
There's Devil's, what's the one up in Pinnacles? There's one. Devil's Post Pile.
Yep.
Yeah.
But they made it respectful. The Garden of the Gods.
Yes. But they
Isn't
made
that
it
respectful?
plural.
But they made it plural.
It's polytheistic. I don't think that's respectful.
Yeah.
Like he specifically asked you not to. So you've published multiple articles on a subject that, again, around the Babylon Bee office is an area of hotly contested interest. Did the dinosaurs have feathers? Did all of them? What's the story there?
Probably not all dinosaurs had feathers, but definitely some did. So we do see lots of scale impressions on dinosaurs, and you can have both. I mean, chickens today, their feet are scaly, even though they've got feathers on them. So, probably your really, really big dinosaurs, they're not going to have feathers because that's going to make them too hot, right? And insulation terms, not like, attractive kind of thing. And same thing with mammals today, right? Like you got elephants, they're not covered in shaggy fur because it'd be way too hot for them to deal with that. So, but a lot of especially your meat-eating dinosaurs, we call them theropods, a lot of those have feathers.
Why did the T-Rex have such little arms? Did they ever figure that out?
So it wouldn't pick its nose is my answer. But yeah, so you got a few different schools of thought on that. They are useful. They've actually got all their joints and they've got strong muscles there and everything. So, it would beat you in an arm wrestling contest for sure. Not even specifically you.
You've never seen me arm wrestle. You don't know that.
Some people think they're probably not useful for like, attacking things.
Yeah.
But they could be just a consequence of having a really big head. That if your arms were bigger, you'd just topple over.
I know a guy like that with a really big head but little arms.
But it could also be related to just being useful during mating, being able to hold in place, things like that. So there's ideas out there, but you can't ask them because they're dead. So it's rough.
You know a lot about T-Rexes. Did you do T-Rex related research throughout your paleontology career?
I've done some, yeah. During my PhD, we found a T-Rex bone that had T-Rex tooth marks on it. So we got to do like a whole project on cannibalism. It was really fun.
That sounds interesting.
If Ken Ham opened up a Jurassic Park, would you be open to being his chief scientist, even if it involved creating some ethically questionable cannibalistic dinosaurs?
That's a really big question. I don't know how to address that piece by piece. I think if the books and movies taught us anything, it's that you shouldn't open a Jurassic Park, right? So maybe I would try and stay away from that because I don't want to get eaten. I don't know. I'd like to go. I mean, that sounds like fun, but it also kind of sounds dangerous. So It's like, should we build robots, right? I don't know. They always end up killing us in the movies. So
They asked if they could. They never asked
Yeah.
if they should.
Yeah.
So the Institute for Creation Research has a quote that we'd like to get your reaction to. It's intense.
Okay.
Paleontologists showed conclusively that all tyrannosaurs, including T-Rex, had scaly skin with no hint of feathers whatsoever. That's straight from ICR.org. What say ye, evolutionist compromiser? that last part was me, not ICR.
Yeah, I figured that wasn't ICR.
Checkmate.
T-Rex itself might not have had feathers. It's really hard to show conclusively because you'd need scale impression or skin impressions for the entire body, right? Which no one's ever found. But there are definitely some tyrannosauroids, so a big group that includes T-Rex that do have feathery and fuzzy kinds of things on their body. So like Eutyranna and Dilong and stuff like that.
Nice. How accurate was Jurassic Park?
In terms of the dinosaurs,
like the behavior and
it didn't really happen.
And the original
like,
ones, yeah, but the way they portrayed the dinosaurs.
Yeah,
and the original one, not all the weird sequels.
Sure, yeah. I think for it being the 90s, it was a really good portrayal of what we knew about dinosaurs at the time. There are some things, of course, that aren't right. I mean, like the Velociraptors have their hands like this, like they should be like that. They're way too big as Velociraptors, like they should be like up to your knee. But I think a lot of it was pretty good for the 90s. Like it was really the first like, hey, this is what dinosaurs really look like kind of deal for a movie.
Why is it that in every Jurassic Park movie, they have to have even bigger and bigger dinosaurs? In the OG Jurassic Park, it was the T-Rex. Then they had the Gigantosaurus. Then they have a Brachiosaurus and eventually a Dreadnoughtus.
I mean, all those you listed are real dinosaurs, T-Rex and Giganotosaurus and Dreadnoughtus and all those. The Indominus obviously is not, or the Indoraptor, which is funny because kids all the time come up to me, is the Indominus real? And I'm just like, did you pay attention at all? Do you understand how a plot works? But I can't be, because they're like 5. So, I can't, but they're real dinosaurs and there's just so much they could use. And I was super excited. The new movie had a Therizinosaurus in it, had a Quetzalcoatlus, like all these cool animals that I had a Lystrosaurus. I was thrilled about that. That was, however, I wasn't really impressed with like plot wise the new movie and there was no terror. I never felt on the edge of my seat, so
no shirtless Jeff Goldblum.
Oh, so true. With his like wide open. Yeah.
So did people keep dinosaurs as pets?
I would have.
Yeah.
I think you could imagine a Flintstones kind of thing, like putting that in the door, pulling on it, kind of deal. But we don't have any fossil evidence actually of dinosaur-human interaction. So I would guess no, probably. It doesn't mean they didn't, but they weren't doing it every day, obviously.
If they didn't interact, why don't you think they did? Did they just live in different regions, or?
I think they mainly lived in different regions. If you knew there were things that were the size of a building that could step on you, you might not want to build your house there, So yeah, they probably just lived in different parts of the earth for the most part.
What's your favorite dinosaur?
That is a Pachycephalosaurus. Yeah, that's the one with the big dome head that runs into things.
I like that one.
So if you want to go really nerdy with it, my favorite's actually a Stygomoloch, but that's probably a junior synonym of Pachycephalosaurus. Probably just the same thing, actually.
And did that one have feathers?
We have no skin impressions, as far as I know, for any Pachycephalosaur, so we don't know.
Do you get to do or lead dinosaur digs in your current role or in prior roles?
Yeah, I get to participate in dinosaur digs. I go with a group that digs in Wyoming at a site. They've been there for over 20 years now. And that's where we dig up a lot of cool dinosaur stuff, Triceratops and Edmontosaurus and T-Rex and things like that.
When you're on these digs, are you working with a lot of people who disagree about the young Earth creation theories, or is the groups you're going out with all on the same page in terms of that sort of scientific thought?
Yeah, that particular group I go with is Young Earth. We have people who visit that aren't, and will come out with us, and we'll have some cool conversations.
That's
and,
awesome.
But for the most part, most everyone goes out there I shouldn't say Young Earth. I should say they're young life creationists. Some of them are Young Earth creationists, because a lot of them are Seventh-day Adventists. So you get some different perspectives in there. Yeah.
Thanks so much for being here. That was really, really interesting.
Yeah.
Where can people? Do you have anything that you promote? Do you have like books or website or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, I would just say at Masters we do an annual creation summit, and that happens like the end of February, beginning of March. So this year it's February 28th, and it's all about after the flood. So we'll bring out geologist Andrew Snelling from Answers in Genesis. We're bringing out a meteorologist from Cedarville named Steve Goldmer, and just talk about like the ice age and how did animals disperse after the flood and all kinds of cool stuff like that. So if you're in Southern California, check that out. I'd also recommend the International Conference on Creationism is happening this year, which is in Cedarville University in Ohio this year. It is a big event, and it only happens every like 3 to 5 years, kind of like a comet coming through. So like you got to catch it when it happens, kind of deal. So definitely check that out.
Cool.
This is great.
Yeah, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you so much for coming
glad to be here. This was fun.
Cool.
We had fun too. This is Dr. Matthew McLain from the Masters University. This has been the Babylon Bee interview show.
Ah, that was great. A guy who believes the Bible, Andy Stanley, is triggered. All right, now it's time for hate mail. I liked this hate mail because I couldn't really tell if they were mad at us. This guy says, "Are you folks ever going to come Chicago, Illinois? Are you too chicken
Strawberry
to do so? Chicago is the den of libtard ideology, so get off your
donkey
and book a concert so some of us U.S. conservatives can make a mark. Please respond, Daniel."
So he loves us but hates us for not coming to Chicago.
It's because we're chicken.
And he's cursing at us a lot because of that.
Right. So that's good.
And then here, is this a comment on?
It's a comment on an old video that we did a while back.
Let's see. You're a radical leftist, and you and those who believe this are not Americans. You need to go to a socialist country. We are a Republican nation run with the right to bear weapons.
A
Republic nation with the right to BARE to show you our exposed weapons, I guess. And yours is also spelled wrong. So
yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for watching, guys. Stay tuned if you're a subscriber. We have bonus hate mail, mailbag, classic article of the week, subscriber headlines, and the 10 questions for Aldo. So this is going to be a great time. Please check out all his Man of the Street stuff on YouTube. YouTube? No, not
PragerU.com.
PragerU.com. Yeah. And you can go follow him on all the socials. So we'll have all the links to that in the show notes. We'll see you guys next week.
Coming up next, for Babylon Bee subscribers.
This isn't about left versus right. It's about you not being funny.
And some of their beliefs are rooted in the Bible.
For sure.
It's just they have extra stuff on top of that.
Yeah. You know, at one time they were bigger than Jesus, right?
Yeah.
So had to go.
Well, you mentioned his name. Here's the next question.
This has been another edition of the Babylon Bee podcast from the dedicated team of certified fake news journalists you can trust here at the Babylon Bee, reminding you that fake news of the people, by the people, and for the people shall not perish from the earth.